Hey everyone, welcome back to the AussieFied Indian podcast, your go-to show for all things vibrant, insightful, and everything about life in Australia. I'm your host Varsha, and today I'm so excited to bring an episode where I have my first guest. So the guest for today's show is Purnima Vamshi, and she is like the powerhouse of positivity. She's a health guru. She is an inspiring personality because she herself has lost 30 kilos and she's reversed her thyroid and she's fixed a lot of her health issues without any medicines. So I have here on the show today. She will give her insights about health in general, about postpartum depression. She's got a knack for helping women achieve their fitness dreams. She's helped more than 700 women till date. She's certified in energetic breakthrough method and hormone coaching for women. In today's episode, we're going to deep dive into life-changing topics like achieving energetic breakthroughs, finding your inner spark, how to deal with postpartum depression, how to achieve your fitness goal, how to lose weight, and a lot of other things. Remember to subscribe to the AussieFied Indian podcast. Please do comment if you have any questions regarding this podcast, or if you have any questions for Purnima as well, please feel free to comment it down below. And you can reach out to me on Instagram as well. The links to Purnima's socials are given in the description box anyways. So without wasting much time, let us get started. Beautiful. So awesome. Welcome to the podcast, Purnima. We've been trying to catch up with each other since a while now. So I'm so glad to finally have you on the show. I'm really excited to have you here. Okay, so I want to start with just knowing a bit of yourself. My viewers already know about what you do. I have given them an introduction already, but I really want to hear from you about what inspired you to get into this industry where you are trying to, change lives of so many women out there. And your journey itself about you losing 30 kilos is really, really inspiring. So yeah, I really want to know about you a little bit more and why you got into this and how it all started.
Sure. Thank you so much, Varsha. It's a pleasure and honor to be part of your podcast. I know there are women across the globe who listen to the amazing stuff that you share through your podcast. And the reason why I want to be here is about spreading that awareness to women in letting them know that medication is not the go-to tool for any of the ailments that they are having today. Now, that said, yes, I did drop 30 plus kgs. I did reverse my thyroid. I did reverse my ankylosing spondylitis. And I think it's a journey that I would lovingly want to share with you and your audience today. So definitely excited and looking forward to having that conversation going.
So, Purnima, how's life for you now? After have done so much, you are really inspiring and like a real life hero for me, and I'm sure a lot of other girls like me. So, how is your life now? Once you are, you've cured your thyroid and you've lost your weight and all that. How do you feel now? From inside and outside, obviously you look gorgeous, but how do you feel from inside?
Thank you. So, if I have to put it in simple words, I'm at peace. I'm at peace with myself. I'm at peace with my body. I'm at peace with who I am, what I do. And that peace comes from the fact because I'm not someone who has ever wanted to rely on medication, at least to start her day with. I know we do take supplements across the globe for vitamin D, iron, etc. But specifically if it has to do something with the ailment, like say a thyroid or for that matter, ankylosing spondylitis, which is an autoimmune disease, starting your day with the medication is not something that I was very keenly interested in. So today, if you ask me, every single morning when I wake up, I'm so grateful that I don't have to start my day with that single thyroid pill, that which I have taken for 5 long years. And yes, of course, the amazing dresses that now fit me, I have to change my wardrobe because I was wearing XL, double XL. So I had to go back to, Australia size 8 and 10. But yeah, it feels really, really wonderful.
That's really good. That's a good problem to have, by the way.
Yes.
That you have to reorganize all your wardrobe for fitting into smaller sizes, which is awesome.
True, Varsha. Absolutely right. Some problems are good, and I think this is one of those good problems to have.
Good problems to have.
I had to change my wardrobe. Yeah.
So, Purnima, I had another question for you, right? I really need help in this question that I'm asking you, and I'm sure a lot of other girls as well. So, like these days, a lot of problems like PCOS, PCOD, every other girl is going through these issues, a lot of hormonal issues. So how do we address these health concerns? And also diabetes and thyroid is also, something that's really commonly occurring even in young girls. So how do we address these health issues? And also on the other side, trying to lose weight. Like how do we, I hope I'm making sense. Like how do we stay fit while also addressing these, health concerns?
Yeah, you are absolutely making sense, and I'm smiling because of the last 3 years in what I have been doing. 8 out of 10 women have thyroid, and 1 in every 5 has diabetes. And I'm speaking at the young age of, see, I call 35 young age for diabetes at least, right? So in that age, when we are looking at, having thyroid, PCOD, PCOS is very common between 25 to 35, 40-year-old. And diabetes also now is becoming very rampant in the age group of 35 to 45. The way I look at it now is totally different to the way I was looking at it earlier when I was diagnosed with thyroid. And I say that now, from the space of, women want to lose weight, to look good, to feel good, and probably to be able to have that self-confidence and self-esteem. In the quest of wanting to do that, we sometimes forget the random dietary patterns that we put ourselves into, all the fat diets, the different supplements that's come in the market, the 5-minute exercises that we are asking to do, just with the quest that, probably we will see ourselves on that weighing scale, probably 5 kgs, 10 kgs or 15 kgs lighter, versus what we don't understand truly is we're only addressing the superficial layer of the issue. Weight builds up because there is something wrong in the body. Something cannot be wrong in the body. Like, you cannot have let me put it in a way that the audience understands. So what we look at is, oh, today I'm standing at a 60 kgs or probably 80 kgs, but I was 60 before COVID. So through COVID, I gained 20 kgs. Now we see that COVID has allowed us to gain 20 kgs, but why did we gain that 20 kgs? The root cause of that 20 kgs is something that we need to address. Now with that 20 kgs, we might see that when we go to GP and we have a blood test done, we are diagnosed with thyroid or diabetes or high cholesterol. And then we are told, lose this extra weight and then your numbers would look good.
Yeah.
But then to lose that extra weight, you need to identify the root cause of why that weight gain has happened. Only when we can identify truly why that weight gain happened, while COVID is just a reason that we are giving ourselves, will we be able to truly address the root cause. So going back to your question of, how can we stay fit and also be healthy? It is about it is about identifying what the root cause of the issue is, that which will allow us to stay at par with how we want to look, feel, and everything for that matter.
Also, do hormones play a vital role in weight loss, right? Like I have a lot of my, friends who do everything, right? They work out, they mostly eat right, and they make sure they're doing their 10,000 steps and everything, right? But still they do struggle to lose that weight. So why does that happen? Like, is it something to do with hormones, or what's your take on that?
Beautiful. So the reason why I again smiled is, when you said they're doing mostly everything right, probably they're perceiving that they're doing everything right, because we are again going back to the fact of addressing only the superficial layer. Getting 10,000 steps is brilliant. Following a beautiful dietary pattern is excellent, but that will happen only when we know why we are doing it. Probably we're doing it from a space of, oh, my thyroid numbers are rising, or my diabetes numbers are shooting up, or my weight is shooting up. Now we are addressing the superficial layer of the issue, right? As long as they don't know why that thyroid has got triggered, why they were diagnosed with diabetes, and that why most of the times relates to the stress we take on in our day-to-day life. Now when viewers might hear us, they might say, oh my God, but this is something that each of us go through. Stress is absolutely evident. There is no way that we cannot live a life without stress, right? We have younger kids, we are new mothers, we are women who are working, we are entrepreneurs. So stress is absolutely inevitable in our life. But the way we look at stress, the way we respond to stress versus reacting to stress plays a huge role on our hormones. And that's where the cortisol hormones, which is the stress hormones, either gets released in full speed in our body, and then creating an imbalance in other hormones like, estrogen, progesterone, dopamine, oxytocin, or it allows us to be in a space when we are coming from the place of, I'm going to now think about how to work through this situation rather than immediately reacting to it, where we have a control of what's these cortisol hormones that are getting released in our body. So yes, hormones play a huge role, but hormones play a huge role, and that happens from how we are either responding or reacting to stress in our day-to-day life.
And what, according to you, is the best way to manage stress? Like, is there any tips that we can implement, or that you want to give, that will help us? Because, like I said even earlier, right, stress has become, like, we've started seeing stress as something that's really normal. Oh, stress to sabko hota hi hai, ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है कि किसी को stress नहीं है? It's more of that these days. So what can we do to keep our cortisol's level low, and what are the tips that we can implement in daily life to at least balance out the stress maybe?
I'm more than happy to share, Varsha. हाँ, stress तो होता ही है. I think, I have heard every woman say this. I have also said this. यार, life में तो बिना stress की जिंदगी ही नहीं है, isn't it? That is what we think. And that's how we have been raised as well. And I agree with it. Agree with it. Because the way, as women, the multiple hats that we wear, like I said, we are working, we are mother, we have young kids going to school, we have other social catch-ups that we have to do. There are women who get stressed even with the social catch-ups that they have to do, wanting to stay at par with the societal needs, etc. So now, if you ask me what is one of the things, or one of the best things that I do in coaching my clients in my program, is allowing them to use the RARE methodology. Now, I would love to give details about what this methodology is. So in the RARE, the first R stands for recognizing. So when we know, most of the time, stress, 72% of times, stress goes away without being recognized. But if we are able to recognize, like today, we are educated, we have allowed ourselves to be educated through Google, through internet, of how we can work with stress, etc. So which means we are aware that we are going through that stress. Now, when we are aware that we are going through that stress, using the RARE modality, which is the first R is about recognizing what is it that's causing the stress. While I might randomly shout at my child because he or she has done something, that's not the place my stress has triggered. That's the output for my stress. So probably my stress can come from the fact that while I was working today, I had some disagreement with one of my colleague, and I'm carrying it subconsciously. So when my child has said something, it's just that I blasted him or her for no good reason. And then I feel guilty about, oh my God, my child just said this, and then I have, I blasted him or her, and then we get into that guilty zone. So it's important that we identify, which is recognizing, as the first R of the RARE modality. As we recognize, the A stands for acknowledging. It's very, very essential that we acknowledge what we have identified. Most of the times, we are like, oh, I know it, but that doesn't matter. No, acknowledge that you now have the awareness. Having that awareness is so beautiful. Not many have it. So now that you have that awareness, acknowledge it. And how you can do it, both recognizing and acknowledging, or for that matter, the entire modality, rather than using our mental mind map, it's good to use a journal. So I call it Purnima's Brain Drain. That's a book that I have for myself, where I literally, use it as my brain drain for pouring in all my stressful thoughts into it. So have a journal, call it Purnima's Brain Drain, or your name Brain Drain. And then as you recognize, as you acknowledge, the third R is the reframe. How can you reframe? Now, going back to my situation, if the disagreement between me and my colleague was something that caused the stressful situation and the trigger, but I kind of blasted my child, then how can I reframe that situation for myself so it doesn't continue for the rest of that day? What is it that I could do? I could probably write that now I have recognized, I acknowledge it. I might want to disassociate myself from that situation, and then reframe myself with the thought of, that is done. How can I run rest part of my day with ease, rather than taking it subconsciously that it is still bothering me. So as I reframe it, I will then go and embody the new thought that I have got. As I embody it, there would be an immediate switch that the person would notice, because he or she has now recognized it, he or she has now acknowledged it, they have reframed it, and then they have embodied that new persona, that new thought. So when we do this consciously on a constant basis, we would see that our responses to stress are more a response rather than a reaction. We do not instantly react, we rather respond. So this is a modality that I teach, preach, follow, and I would say absolutely works wonders in anybody's life who has applied it.
That's really, really insightful. And I would like to say, like, exactly like the example you mentioned, right? That, okay, you have a fight with your colleague or something happens at work and you just let it out at home or something. I pretty much do the same thing, right? I won't say, so it's the work stress, and I lack accepting that I'm under stress. I always show up that picture that I'm super cool, I can manage it, you know. अरे नहीं मैं तो सब कर लेती हूँ, because no, I do a lot of other things. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a mom, like managing home and managing 2 businesses. So yeah, so exactly like you said. So this stress build up, like I said, I don't accept it in front of people that, oh, I'm really struggling to manage this, because I want to be like the superwoman woman that I can do everything, you know. And then for a little thing, for example, I think last week or something, I couldn't open the door of the garage, right? It was just too tight for some reason or whatever. And I cried for that. And I'm like, this is such a silly reason. And I'm just crying because the door didn't open. But, you know, when I self-reflect on myself, it's not because the door isn't opening. It's because of all that build-up stress that I've been, you know, going through since the last 2 or 3 days. So it just comes out in such small things. For example, I'm not able to cut something, I'm not able to open something, and I'll sit crying for that. And people think, oh, तुम इसके लिए रो रहे हो, this is such a silly thing, why are you crying for this? But in reality, it's not that, it's something else, you know. So
yes, yeah. Absolutely. That's a brilliant example that you have quoted, Varsha. I think, you know, that's a vulnerable situation which you have opened up, which I think will resonate with hundreds and thousands of women, because I myself go through that. Sometimes there is no reason, while many situations I might take it very in a very strong manner, but small things might trigger me in such a way that I'm like, what? Did I react to this situation? Even after having so much awareness. See, I come from the place of where I have been studying, certifying, learning and doing things for n number of years. But still there have been times when I have lost my cool for a very small situation. So totally resonate. You are a young mother, young child. So totally resonate with what you are referring to. And that's where the postpartum emotions play a huge role. Huge role.
Just regarding postpartum, right? I think, I don't know, a lot of my friends who are in the similar situation like me, they have, like, my little one is like 10 months old now. So I've got friends who've just delivered their baby, like 3 months, you know, into being a new mother and all that. So I personally don't think I have experienced postpartum depression. I think so. I don't know. I would like to know from you, what is postpartum depression? What does it feel like? Or if somebody is going through that, how can they take care of their health? Because, you know, after you have a baby, your life does revolve around, you know, your child. And I think that's when most of the women don't take care of themselves. Like, for example, in my situation, and I'm always really upfront about what I do. And, you know, my life is pretty much an open book. So I did not gain a lot of weight while I was pregnant. I think I only gained around whatever, the healthy weight, right? The 10 kilo or whatever. But after delivery, I did put on a lot of weight. I think I put on like 8 kilos or whatever. And which I'm still struggling to lose. So, you know, because the focus then kind of gets into the baby and your other things, like you have to feed the baby, you have to make sure he or she is fine. So how do we deal with that situation, right? When you have so much on your plate, how do you take care of yourselves? And on top of that, postpartum depression is another thing.
Thank you for asking the postpartum question, because that is something that I have gone through after my second delivery. So which was very interesting, because after my first delivery, I did not see much of a change in my mood swings, etc. I was fine. So, but with my second delivery, I think, somewhere deep down, I'm going to be very open and vulnerable over here, that I wanted a girl child as my second baby. Now, having again a boy somehow already put me in a very different emotional state. I'm sure you will resonate. I mean, it's good to have two genders. Today, I love both my babies. Don't get me wrong. But at that point in time, especially when there are so many natural hormonal changes happening in the body through pregnancy, through delivery, deep down, I had wanted the second one to be a girl baby. My husband also was very passionate about having a girl child. Nonetheless, we had a second boy, and then I had tough time with the second one because my first baby never cried. He drank milk, he slept. He drank milk, he slept. But the second one was totally opposite. Oh my God. I still remember, even till day, I tell my younger one that I dread the first 45 days when every day he has cried for 3 hours continuously. He picks a time and cries. It can be 6 to 9 in the evening, 9 to 12, or 12 to 3 in the morning.
Purple crying or something is what it's called. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's called purple crying when they cry for no reason.
Yes, absolutely. So I mean, I have had 2 cesareans. So already the body is weak. You have sutures in the same place again. That itself is terrible. It pains, and then you have to take care of your first child too, so the child doesn't feel neglected. And then the second baby cries for no good reason. So at one point in time, I was literally holding my head, and I was like, what's happening? And I was crying too. Where I realized, where I thought, this is not me. I'm not the one who melts down easily. I do have that strength, is what I believe. And when I started to melt down, more than one situation, I knew something was wrong. And it's at that point in time that, I realized that I was going through postpartum depression, which is something which is very less unspoken, which is very less spoken, and most of them, I would say at least 7 in 10, experience it from the time of childbirth up until 3 or 5 years of the child. It need not be immediate. It can be at later time too, right? So, and this happens because there is a surge of hormonal changes that happens in the body, surge of things that goes, emotionally we are feeling let down, emotionally we feel low, we do not like ourselves in our body for whatever reason, and then we might not get the necessary support that we seek from our partners, from our spouses, from our extended family, and then we put ourselves in a space where we think we have to do it all as well. So all of that contribute or further add up to the postpartum depression that a woman might face. Now, if you ask me, what is it that we could do? Again, I go back to saying that, it is important that we recognize that we are going through the postpartum depression. We do not want to be just, shying away and saying, this is not something that I'm going through, or we do not want to be, have that pride and say, I don't have postpartum depression, but अंदर ही अंदर हमें पता है कि हमें क्या हो रहा है. We know, क्योंकि हम घुट रहे हैं अंदर से, but then we say कि नहीं कुछ नहीं हो रहा है. No, it's okay.
And sometimes you're so used to be like that strong person that being vulnerable, I don't know, अगर पास वाले शायद ऐसा सोच भी नहीं रहे होते हैं, but अंदर से आपको लगता है कि नहीं यार, why do I show my weak side to people, so which kind of messes up your whole thing, it's kind of messing you up, but
yes. And I think ये culturally भी काफी inhibit हुआ है, a lot of it is cultural भी कि you have to be strong from childhood. Don't cry for small things. You have to be strong. Sometimes we tell that to our children also. So, but now I ask I have 2 boys, right? Especially boys crying is considered to be a taboo even till date. So when my boys cry, I'm like, it's okay, please.
It's okay to cry.
It's okay to cry. Come, let me give you a warm hug. And that's how they will learn to open up. Today, if I do not teach my boys to open up with their emotions, tomorrow when they go and meet a girl, when they get married, then we tell them, men are emotionless. Well, we are who are putting them in such a situation, right? So coming to the point, where we feel it's important that we accept that we are going through postpartum depression, and please seek help. Seek help in the form of a close friend with whom you can talk to. Seek professional help if it goes to a place where you are just not able to manage it by yourself. But definitely seek help. Use your journaling. For me, my journaling helped. I wrote, wept and wrote, wept and wrote, wept and wrote.
Yeah.
So when I wrote, ऐसा लगता है कि पूरी, I mean, the entire heaviness from your chest is put on the paper. And that allows you to think from a different perspective too. So that way it allowed me to think from a different perspective. I was able to make certain shifts and changes, and I was able to seek support. If I'm not able to care for the child at that point in time, I used to gave them to the domestic help. I was in India then, so I had domestic help to whom I handed over the child, or I asked my dad to take care of the child. So seek that help, that which you already have. It's already available. It's we who shy away from wanting to seek that help, right?
Yeah.
And when you seek that help, and for every new mom, I know, people might find this like, oh, what is she even speaking about? But it is very important that every new mom at least takes 15 to 30 minutes of time just for herself. For herself. I mean, I will not agree if people tell me that I do not have 15 minutes of time for myself. If you really don't have, go and sit in the bathroom. Your child, even if you have to hand over the child to someone, if you have to go and sit in the bathroom, right? Spend that time for yourself, because that 15 minutes, that 30 minutes will do wonders to you for the next n number of hours that you would be caring for the child and doing other responsibilities. So one very strong tip that I would strongly recommend every woman to do is taking that me time. 15 minutes of me time as a new mother. I mean, in general, I would say a 1 hour is needed, but it might be way too much being a new mom, catering to the responsibilities. But 15 minutes is definitely possible. So take that 15 minutes time, do what you love doing. We have forgotten our hobbies in the quest of growing our career, in the quest of building who we are today. So pick that hobby up for those 15 minutes, for that 30 minutes, and then put yourself into it. It can be just singing random songs, switch on random music and then sing along. It can be just, taking that walk in the nature barefoot. Do it for yourself. It can probably be a crochet work, or, wanting to weave something for your young child, infant and toddler. Do it. When you move,
and just to add to that, I think scrolling on phone and calling it me time is, again, that's not me time, because in return it does cause you stress as well, right? Like just scrolling through your phone, watching reels, TikToks, it's just again additional stress. Because then you watch people, oh, this girl is going there, they're going on holidays, I'm just sitting home, so it again causes you stress. So me time doesn't mean, I hope you agree with me, right?
100%.
Not scrolling through the phone and Facebook and doing all that stuff.
No.
So me time is when you are doing something that, you really love and that will give you some happiness.
Yes, and that's why I touched upon the hobby, because that's something we picked up as a child, but forgot as we grew, isn't it?
As we grew, exactly. Spot on.
Absolutely. So it's good, it's important that we go back to being who we were in terms of picking that hobby and spending 15 to 30 minutes of time doing that. I cannot say, Varsha, how much of a significant impact it would have on a person's mental well-being. And then, once you come back to being that mother, catering to your house, to your requirements, etc., you're from a good space. You have had that 30 minutes of time for yourself. So you are more relaxed. You're more of a grounded person. And the decisions and the choices that you would make would be from that place, rather than always being on the stressful zone that you otherwise would be.
True. And even the energy, the vibes that you will reflect among, people around you also will be, way different and more positive. Also, so there are a lot of women, right, who they know they need help, but they're kind of hesitant to seek help, especially from somebody who's a health coach in terms of their mental health, and also, dealing with these hormonal issues or issues like thyroid, diabetes, PCOD, postpartum depression. So how do you think, what's the best approach of, approaching somebody or seeking help from a health coach? And also, I would love, for you to explain a little bit about your process as well.
Sure.
About how your program works and how, my audiences could be benefited from this.
Sure, Varsha. Coming to the first point, where you spoke about how we do not want to approach, I think that by itself is one of the reasons why we are in that health situation that we are. That
Yeah.
also majorly contributes. So if you ask me what's the best way out, there are several resources that are available for us to explore, especially with the way technology is developing. Well, it's a boon and a pain for the human existence. But yeah, when you get in and you start seeing, there are several free resources that you could start following if you do not want to totally open up. One, check why you do not want to open up. What is it that's stopping you from opening up and seeking help? Is it something that's culturally inhibited in you, that you cannot step out and then ask for help? Or is it something that has to do with what you have gone through in your school and college days, where you have sought help but then did not receive what you were expected to or what you wanted, and that has put you in a nutshell sorts of, that, oh no, if I ask help I will not be appreciated, or I will not receive what I want. So it's important for them to identify that. And even then, if people are extremely introvert and do not want to, there are several self-help courses available across the internet. Right? The moment you're able to identify what is it that you truly need help with, you would be able to get access to those resources. And you can start implementing from there. You can start seeing small shifts. Like, for example, my own website has amazing free resources for women to use. People who are having thyroid can use a thyroid activation practice that I have recorded. People who are struggling with PCOD, PCOS have a womb activation that they can start listening to. Right? These are all available for free, wherein you don't even have to reach out to me. You just need my website details, and then you can go into the free resources, download it, and start practicing.
I'll make sure I'll link all that in the description box below as well.
Yes,
so
yes.
For people to go and check out.
Yeah, the minute they start to see those shifts, they would see that, then they will need some more help. At that point in time, I would have kind of bought in their confidence that, yeah, this is something that is working for me. And it also comes from a place of where I earlier spoke about, internet has a lot of things that's in a way destructive too, because there are hundreds of women, if not thousands, who have tried so many things and then have not seen any results, or have seen results but have lost it all, and then are extremely skeptical about stepping into something new. And I agree, I have done it too. I have spent probably 50-60K dollars, I'm speaking about, in wanting to identify the exact method that will work for me. And once it has worked, is what I have now created it as a program, which I deliver either as a 21 days or an 87 days program. So yes, women can use the resources that are available in my website, which is absolutely free. Two, coming to how I cater, it's with the 21 days program and the 87 days program that I cater. So 21 days allows you to see quick wins, that which our subconscious mind truly loves. And when you see those quick wins, when you're able to identify your root cause for thyroid, your root cause for diabetes, or for that weight gain, and start working with it, you would be surprised to see, amazed, surprised, I'm getting all words which I can use as adjectives, that in 87 days, I have had women who have totally gone off thyroid medication, who have reversed their diabetes from 10.3 to 5.0, who have had their regular menstrual cycles. They were struggling for 45 days, 60 days, but now have it every 27, 28 days. So these are all the brilliant transformations they have allowed themselves to see. So that's the programs that I cater to. That's the guide that I provide, which women are lovingly invited and can follow through, Varsha.
Okay. And this program is completely, so we are treating these diseases, if that's the right word, through just food, right? Or do you, is there any supplements on top of it? Like, you take medicines, there's a lot of gut health program these days. A lot of people are offering, where, they sell you a lot of products along with the program. They give you recipes and this and that, but then there are a lot of supplements that they give you on top of it, for you to lose weight, or if you're dealing with skin issues and everything. So how does this work? Do we have any supplements in this, or it's just entirely food?
Yeah, I think that's the unique standout point, I would call USP of my what I cater to. Like I said,
Yeah.
I have spent, or you can call it as invested 50, 60 plus K for my own health. And that includes from trying different supplements to doing cool sculpting to freezing my fat to trying everything out. They all work, but again, I go back to the place where they all work only at the superficial layer. Now, if I do not address my actual reason for thyroid, my actual reason for thyroid was not because I was pregnant for the second time. It was more to do with how there was a HR case running in my previous organization, and that put me into a lot of stress. So that was the reason why my thyroid gland got triggered. Now, if I do not address that, no matter how much supplements I take, how much weight I drop, the thyroid medication still continued for me. The minute I started to understand the root cause and addressed it, I think in 27 days, I spoke to the doctor, GP, and then she asked me to come off the thyroid medication. So coming back to what I offer, because I have tried it all, be it supplements, be it fat diets, be it shakes, be it gut health programs, etc. My entire program revolves on three pillars, Varsha. The first pillar talks about, how we should stick to our traditional foods, whatever we have been raised with. If that did not cause diseases and ailments, then it should not cause now. That's the first point. Second, do what you so love doing in the form of metabolic activity. Now, what is metabolic activity? Metabolic activity for me can be probably going to a group workout class. For you, it can be dancing. For someone else, it can be swimming. Now, how do we know what is right for us? Because we know it. I know what is right for me. I love doing group classes. You love dancing. Likewise, somebody who is watching us might love just taking that beautiful walk in the nature, connecting with plants and rocks and stones. Right? So second pillar is about identifying what we truly love doing and then doing it consistently. The third point, and the most important point, which I spoke about my thyroid, is about going to that root cause. So, okay, now the HR case, which I was referring to, was the reason that triggered my thyroid. Now, how do I go and address it? I had lots of emotions related to it that was sitting in my body. Now, I had to work on releasing it. Remember the rare modality that I taught in the beginning of our podcast? I used that modality. So I recognized, I acknowledged, I reframed, and I embodied, worked on it on a daily basis. And then, like I said, 27 days straight, I was out of thyroid medication after taking for 5 years. So, no supplements.
That's really, really inspiring.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So how do people identify this? How do we identify the root cause? Like, how can you help us identify the root cause?
So I also provide, it's called root cause analysis call. It's a free call that I provide to every individual who would want to, learn what is it that has caused them the particular ailment that they are going through. So in the root cause analysis call, we dive deep. Like, for example, one of them whom I had a call with is on thyroid medication for more than 17 years. 17 years, it's not 1, 2, 3, but 17 years. So 17 years if she has been taking thyroid medication, and if I ask her to go back and identify, it's difficult. So through the way the strategy session or the root cause analysis session is set up in such a way that we actually take her back to the time when she started taking the thyroid medication and work on identifying what has caused that to trigger. So in her situation, she had got a job she had finished her master's, got a job in Australia, but then her dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and she had to leave it and go back. Right? So you see how the triggers are. Her dad, she got her job, which is extremely exciting moment, but then had to let go because her dad was diagnosed with cancer. So extreme stress, and then being there. See, cancer is not a joke, right? You have to deal with a lot of things to be able to support the individual who is struggling. So doing all of that in probably 6 to 8 months, her thyroid levels were high. So we went back there and we addressed what all she went through then. So now she's working with me in the 21 days program. So we are working on further unleashing those emotional knots and blocks from her body. So she addresses all of that she has then gone through, and then I'm anticipating probably the time frame that we work, she should be able to go back to a place where she brings her medication down first and then eventually comes off it.
So I'll definitely leave a link for the root cause analysis, free consultation as well that Purnima is offering. And I hope, feel free to, and it's not costing you anything, right? So I think why not? If there is something that is troubling you, just go with an open mind and see, how it can be of help.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you for being on the show, Purnima. I definitely want you to come back again. There are a lot of topics that I want you to give your opinion about, and we can have a detailed chat about that. But yeah, the 45 minutes chat that we just had now is amazing, and thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure, Varsha. Truly, truly my pleasure. And I'm, driving this mission of every woman deserves to live a life medication free. So like you said, I would love for women to take the opportunity to book the call, to utilize the free resources available on my website, for them to see those shifts. We have to give ourselves an opportunity. There is a saying in all the languages, I think, unless you tell your mom you're hungry, she will not be able to feed you after a certain age. And when they're infants, we feed them every two hours or so. But later on, we have to open our mouth and ask. And that's how it is. If we do not open ourselves and ask for support, there'll be nobody who would be able to support us. So love yourself, give yourself that opportunity, be part of this mission where you deserve to live a life medication free, and make use of those resources. Get yourself into the root cause analysis call, and I can vouch for it. There are more than 700 plus women, so I can vouch for it that you would also be able to reverse your ailments that you're struggling with today and come off all those medications. Thanks a lot for having me today, Varsha.